Hi there, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and I've never done this before. So what have we here? Welcome to 32 Bar and Grill. Named because this is a loop set. It's a set of audio files carefully designed to seamlessly loop, and they run for 32 bars. They're made by running hardware synthesizers off of a Kawai hardware sequencer. The theory is that, like with the old Atari computers and things like that, some MIDI timing is better than others. Computer MIDI timing is not necessarily great. Computer sequencing is not necessarily the best possible sequencing. And when you're working with hardware sequencers, you can get a stronger groove than you can putting stuff together in digital audio workstations, particularly if you're putting stuff together in individual samples and things like that. But we said loops, so here. Oh. Now we have loops. Not only that, let me expand that out ridiculously. Now this will go basically forever. Back to the mixer window and back to our little thump thump thump. Here's one of our basic sounds for this. I'm also going to throw one of my plugins, AD Clip, on the output because I want this to alter the sound of things as little as possible. This is the Jackhammer kick drum. It is a unmodified, at least at this time it's unmodified, Jomox M-Bass 211, M-Bass 11 analog drum synthesizer. And we've got a little trance bass going on. It's a psytrance type bass. It only comes with this pitch, but be aware that you can use this as a sidechain to modulate other things, so it can be useful even in situations when you're not in this key. This is from a Yamaha FB01 synthesizer, and I think this is the Alpha Juno. These are all analog synthesizers. off that so you can hear this a little better. But that's not all. Oh, it's a little difficult to... Here we go. Don't mind me moving windows around. I called this transchords. It's quantized, but it's a little bit irregular. And next to that, we've got a hi-hat. And next to that, we have I've got a drum kit going on and an electric bass. That is a Squier jazz bass. It's not really a Fender jazz bass, but it's a Squier jazz bass with Rotosound pickup, Rotosound strings on it, and set up with real low action. It's a pretty punchy thing. And the idea here is you can take these samples. Some of these are longer than the 32 bars. Like your basic kick and side bass or whatever are exactly 32 bars. But some of these run longer than that and still loop, because the idea is you can take them and grab little snippets out of it. If you want to make smaller things, like smaller loops, you can grab the inside of these and make your smaller loops out of it. If you don't like the drum kit there, you can go with a analog hat. And by analog hat, I mean that's a literal hi-hat that I'm playing. You can hear it doing a little fill there. This is not being played with the perfect metronomic robotic performance. I did my best. But it doesn't have to be, because you can take a loop out of this. It's ready for you to grab any section of it and do a loop of it. It's in, the tempo is 128 beats per minute. And you can do whatever you want with this set of sounds. Like you can throw in that, you can have this be loud, you can have this be quiet. Or you could use some of the other sounds available, such as that is a Kawai K4. It's an old digital synth, but it's one of the first digital synths, and it has a peculiar texture to it. Here's some more of it. And here's some more. Sound interesting? That's not all you can do. Using a simple noise gate that's part of your digital audio workstation, you can throw things like the sequence of this analog synth, an analog synth that's being driven by a hardware sequencer. And you can take the tightness of that sequence. It's being captured at 48 kilohertz. This is not 44.1K, this is 48K, so you can put it on iTunes and tell them it's high resolution. And you can throw that together and put a gate on any element that you want, whether it's from this or whether it's something entirely different. Now we've got 3 different choral type effects that are all echoing at the same time. They are combining in interesting ways. But heck, let's make all these go away. This is the Alpha Juno again. It's doing its little resonancy kind of thing. Alpha Juno was a great sounding synthesizer for stuff like this. You can throw a little bit of that kind of sweepy stuff in there and just grab a sample out of this. It's a good solid size in there. This is the pad, it's this big. And it's all on this basic key, but you could always pick some entirely different key. Or if you wanted to screw up the tonality of it. Yeah, that's pretty ominous. Now that's not a good quality, but the bass track is a high quality. So that gives you a sort of nasty pitch shift kind of thing. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with this sample kit. All you got to do is layer this stuff around. You can use my recommendation is that if you are using your basic samples like the kick and the side bass and such, if you've got this stuff going on, my recommendation is that you do it in 32 bar sequences. I don't recommend breaking up the fundamental groove aspects of it, because they're recorded in 32 bars for a reason. The idea is that they can go for as long as you can want. It gives you a nice way of figuring out when roughly a minute has gone by, because house music is usually done in increments of like 4 bars or 16 bars or 32 bars. And by the time 32 bars has come about, you probably want to do something or change something. So you could leave all this stuff out, or throw little elements of it if you want, or you can throw a pitch shifter on if you must. You could use the bass, you can grab a little tiny piece of the bass. You could use the drums, you could grab little tiny pieces of the drums, or do whatever you want with them. And that's not, I could be putting compression and stuff on these. Like for instance, if I was to, if I just happened to own the Airwindows plugin Logical, Logical has a rather special way of being able to smash heck out of things. And I could get a nice thick tone out of that. Now Logical costs money. This set of samples costs $10, but Logical costs $50 because it's one of the plugins that I actually support. And if you can't get Logical, you could try doing something like taking one of the freebies, such as, for instance, Smooth. And with that, you've got the $10 sample of all of this drum recording. And you can butcher it like this. That's something you can do with the free plugin. Smooth costs nothing. While we're at it, we've got that hi-hat. But it's not much of a hi-hat if you don't do strange things to it, so why don't we just throw Smooth onto that too? And we can include the drum kit. And we've got that stuff going on. Except for the drum kit seems a little bit aggressive. So we could always soften that a bit. these are all the things you can do. Well, this specific stuff you can do, including this. You can have everything that you hear here other than, I'll just move this over to the Airwindows freebie clip while I'm at it. See, the freebie clip just lets you smash stuff like that. It doesn't sound as good as AD clip, but it doesn't cost you anything. This will keep you from getting any overs. This much that you hear, the bass if you want it, costs literally $10. This set is $10. And you can do whatever you want with it. Like, if you happen to like this, you could take, say, the bass and let's see, what are some things I've got? Oh, Mudslide. Mudslide is another freebie. And you can make the bass be deep and heavy in that way. You can take that, or you can get a little funkier there, go back to the smooth perhaps. It's pretty good at taking the edge off of some of those snare hits. You can throw the other hat on. Or we could throw this loud. These are all the things you can do with free plugins and the Airwindows 32-bar and grill first release, which is Jackhammer. This is Jackhammer that you hear. All of these samples can be yours for $10. Now my hope is that this is going to become useful. It's not about making the ultimate collection of doing everything that you could possibly imagine. It's about grabbing little collections of things that happen to be basically what I was doing one day. I can take some of this stuff away. Throw a little bit of that in there. Overlay your own stuff. Do whatever you want. Make whatever kind of mix you want with it. This is actually a stereo recording of the hi-hat. And use this to put together house music or whatever kind of music you want to make out of it that uses a nice modern electronic kick, some samples, some recordings, chop them up, do whatever you want with them. Hopefully they will come of use. And one of the reasons I did this was people were saying $50 for plugins seems like a lot, even if it's stuff that you're going to be supporting, you know, ad infinitum, because there's no expiration date to the support on the plugins. I thought I would put together something that I can just put out there. You can grab it for $10 and use these sounds. And if they're useful, that's fine. As you can see on the in the Finder, I have this well, actually maybe I don't have it in a handy way, but you can see in the Arrange window they're named with the tempo first, so you could throw all of this into one big folder, and as I continue to make them, you can go fishing first for what the tempo is. It'll be basically 32 bars or larger things that can loop and don't necessarily tie to a tempo. And although the drum kit and things, it goes to a number of bars that's appropriate for looping. and staying in sync. But yeah, hopefully this will be of use to people. And as I continue to develop my analog chops, for instance, the Drumbox kick drum thing, I've already modded it. I took a soldering iron and rewired it, because I do that. And there will be more of these 32 bar and grill things coming out. And you'll be able to get new examples, new samples at whatever the tempo is for the next thing that I do. And combine them in whatever way you want. Because I know people doing this type of music are pretty comfortable with grabbing a few bars out of something, editing it up, and doing things with it. Well, this gives you lots of opportunities to do that because all of the pieces of whatever the track is are chopped up and put out there on a track-by-track basis. Many of them are on a 32 bar basis. Some of them are longer. Just do whatever you want with it. And it's based off of analog recordings, hardware synthesizers, and recordings of acoustic instruments like drums and hi-hats. I don't know whether this is going to work, but it'd be neat if it does. And I needed to come up with something at a $10 price point. Hope you enjoy it.